Hello everyone. Welcome to the another lecture of atomic structure and chemical bonding class 9. Myself Suman Singh. So in the last class we have discussed about the isobars and isotopes, right? So now in this class we will discuss about the type of bond. So when we talked about the type of bond, basically in this class you have to learn about two type only: electrovalent or ionic bond or covalent bond. Okay, so now one by one we will start what is ionic bond or what is covalent bond. So when we talk about electrovalent bond or ionic bond, it is what, as we know that atoms of metallic element has what, one, two or three valence electron, right? And they can lose electron to the atom of non-metallic elements, right? And the non-metallic have what, 5, 6 or 7 electrons in their outermost shell. Okay, and thereby forming an electrovalent compound. Okay, now after the transfer of electron, both, what is happening after the transfer of electron, both the combining atoms acquired an atomic electronic configuration of the nearest noble gases. Okay, and one more thing, metallic atoms can lose electrons, become positively charged ions, is known as what, cation, and the non-metallic atom which gain the electrons become negatively charged anion, is known as what, is known as anion, right? So this ions, I will try to explain this. Okay, first of all, we know that in metal there is one, two or three electrons in their outermost shell. Okay, now next is non-metal, and when we talk about the non-metal, they have 4, 5, 6, 7 electron in their outermost shell, right? So basically what is the tendency of this metal? The tendency of this metal is to give an electron. Okay, and the tendency of this non-metal is to accept an electron. I hope you are understanding, right? The tendency of this metal is to give an electron, but the tendency of this non-metal is to accept the electron. Okay, so now what will happen if, what we are doing, if we are, suppose there is any metal, suppose the metal is sodium. Okay, so sodium is what, sodium is a metal. Okay, then what it will do, it has a tendency to give electron, right? So when you will see the electronic configuration of sodium, it will be 2, 8 and 1, right? Means what, in the outermost shell of sodium there are 1 electron, right? So what will it will do, since it is a metal and it has a tendency to give 1, 2 or 3 electrons from their outermost shell, so since it has 1 electron in its outermost shell, so what it will do, it will give 1 electron. Okay, and it will convert into Na plus. Okay, Na plus. So at that time, if it is giving an electron, means it is called what, it has become what, an cation. Okay, I hope you have understood this, right? Since it has given an electron, so first of all, since it is giving an electron, means it is converted into an ion, and that type of ion is called what, cation. Okay, I hope you have understood this, right? Now we will see next the case of one non-metal. Suppose one non-metal is there, which is chlorine. Okay, so as we know, chlorine has an atomic electronic configuration of 2, 8 and 7, means it has 7 electron in its outermost shell. So what it will do, it has a tendency to accept electron, right? So what it will do, it will take 1 electron. Okay, and it will convert into Cl negative ion, right? And this Cl negative ion is called what, anion. Okay, so I hope you have got the idea which is called anion and which is called cation, right? If any atom, if any element, or if any atom is giving its electron, right, it means it is converting into a cation, right? And if it is accepting an electron, means it has converted into anion. Okay, now when we talk about this anion or cation, the word ion is repeated here, as you can see, right? ION. So what is this ion? We will see here. So ion is what? Ion is basically a charged particle. Ion is a charged particle which is formed due to the gain or loss of one or more electron by an atom, right? So what is an ion? Ion is basically a charged particle which is formed due to the gain, as you can see, gain or loss of one or more electron by an atom. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. So after this, as you can see, example is given here: a metallic element whose one atom readily loses electron to form positively charged ion is called electropositive element, which is, it is converting into what? It is converting into cation, right? As you can see here, what is sodium is doing, it is releasing an electron, which example I have given you previously, the same example is there, right? Now again, when we talk about the non-metallic, a non-metallic element whose non-metallic element a non-metallic element whose atoms rarely accept electron to form negatively charged ion is called negatively charged ion is an electronegative element, and it is called what? Anion, as you can see, right? So now again, what will happen after this? When this cation and anion has formed, after this what will happen? This cation, I hope you have understood what is cation and anion, right? So this is a very basic thing which you have to understand before knowing what is electrovalent bond, okay, or covalent bond. So this, what will happen? This cation and the anion being oppositely charged, right? One has, since sodium has given the electron, means it has converted into Na plus, carrying a positive charge, and since chlorine has accepted the electron, so it has got negative charge, right? So since the cation and the anion being oppositely charged, right, attack each other, they used to attack each other and form a chemical bond, right? And what it will happen, they will, since this is positive and this is negative, it will, what it will do, it will attract each other, right? We know that positive and negative attract each other. So since these two will attract each other, they will form a bond, which is called what? They will form a chemical bond, right? Or they will form a bond, okay? And since this chemical bond formed is due to the electrostatic force or force of attraction, since there is a positive and negative charge is there, right? So when there will be attraction between this positive and negative charge, so this attraction is what? Due to why this attraction is causing this attraction is what? This attraction is an electrostatic force of attraction, right? So since, what we can say, the formation of this chemical bond is due to the electrostatic force of attraction between the cation and an anion, that is why it is called what? Electrovalent bond, or it is also called ionic bond. I hope you have understood this, right? Now we will see more about this to make you more clear about this. So one more definition is given here. As you can see, the chemical compound formed, any chemical compound which is formed either by the transfer of electron, okay, as a result of a transfer of electron, okay, from one atom of an element to the one atom of another element, called ionic or electrovalent compound. I hope you have understood this, right? Means what here, what it means to say that any compound, what if you take any compound which is formed by the transfer of electron, means the electron is just transferring from one atom to another atom. At that time, the bond which will formed between them will be called that bond is called what? Electrovalent bond or ionic bond. And that compound which is formed as a result of the transfer of electron is called what? Ionic compound. I hope you have understood this, right? So let me give you one example here again to make you more clear about this. Suppose we have sodium here, and what it is doing, sodium has a tendency to, the sodium has a tendency to give electron, so it will give electron and it will convert into Na plus, right? And since, when we talk about, let me erase it and write it clearly. Suppose this is sodium. Sodium has a tendency to give one electron, so it will convert into what? Na plus, right? Na plus, and this is called what? Cation, right? And chlorine has a tendency to take electron, and it will convert into what? it will convert into it will convert into Cl negative. Okay, it will convert into Cl negative, right? So since there is a negative and positive charge between them, so there will be an attraction between them. So Na positive and Cl negative, they will attract each other. Okay, and they will form a bond which is called NaCl, and this is called what? This compound. Since this compound is here in this compound, what is happening? There sodium is giving an electron, right? There is a transfer of electron to chlorine, means this sodium is transferring his electron to this chlorine. So that is why the bond is formed, the bond, or we can say that this compound is formed due to the transfer of electron. That is why this compound is called what? Ionic compound. So I hope you have got the idea what is ionic compound or what is ionic bond, right? Now next is one more thing we will see here. Now, as we know that the metal have one, two, or three electrons in their valence shell, right? As I have already explained you about this now. And since metal has a tendency to what? Lose electron, right? Metal, they have a tendency to lose their valence electron, right? So what will happen? They will combine with a non-metal, right? Because non-metal, we know that non-metal has a tendency to accept electron, because previously when we were doing about when I was explaining about the atomic structure, at that time in one place I have discussed about this, right? That non-metal has 5 6 or 4 5 6 or 7 electron in their outermost shell, and they have a tendency to gain an electron, right? So that is why what will happen, since metal has a tendency to give electron and non-metal has a tendency to accept electron, right? So that is why they are combining, this metal are combining with non-metal which has 5 6 or 7 electrons in their valence shell. Okay, and thus they have a tendency to form they have a tendency to gain electron. Okay, gain electrons, and it will form ionic bond. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Okay, or we can also define like this: bond formed between the metal and a non-metal is called what? Electrovalent bond or ionic bond. Now next question is why these ionic compounds are stable. Okay, why these ionic compound are stable. So when we talk about this ionic compound, why ionic compound is stable, we will see this. As we know that ionic compound is formed by the ion, but but there also exists a repulsion force between the ions for like charges, right? So since the electrostatic force of attraction between the opposite charge is much higher, it makes an ionic bond stable, right? Means what you can understand like this: when ionic compound is forming, ionic compound is basically formed due to the formation of ions, right? And since these ions are carrying a charge, so there will be a repulsion force. There will be a repulsion force between them, between the ions, right? There will be a repulsion force there, or what we can say, there will exist a repulsion force between the ions, right? So now since the electrostatic force, because the positive and negative charge is also there, so this electrostatic force is greater than that of the repulsion, right? So that is why what is happening, the electrostatic force of attraction between this opposite charge is much higher, right? And since the electrostatic force is higher, that is why the compound, which is ionic compound, are stable. So some of the example of ionic compounds are given here, as you can see here: sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium oxide, potassium bromide, and calcium chloride. Okay, so and calcium fluoride is also there. It's the most ionic compound, as a cesium has a maximum tendency to lose the electron, while fluorine have a maximum tendency to gain the electron. This is when you talk about the cesium fluoride, right? So cesium has a higher maximum tendency to lose an electron, right? And while the fluorine has a tendency, maximum tendency to gain an electron, right? So that is why this cesium fluoride is the most ionic compound. Okay, now next is, it is given here some of the common features of ionic compound. Okay, some of the common features of this ionic compound. So as you can see, common features of ionic compound. So first feature is what? Most of the atom, okay, most atom always loses their outermost electron to form positive ions, or we can say most of the metal also has a metal atoms always lose their outer electron to form positive ions, right? Whereas non-metal, with one exception which is hydrogen, except hydrogen always gain electron to become negative ions, right? So in both the cases, what is happening in both the cases, the ions is formed either cation or anion. So means metal will form cation and non-metal will form anion, right? So in both the cases ion is formed, okay, and have more stable electronic arrangement, okay, that of the gas nearest to the element concerned, okay. Now ionic bond is what? It is a result of ionic bond result from the attraction between the opposite charge ions, as we have seen this, right? Now here is some of the structure of some electrovalent compound or ionic compound is given here. So we have discussed sodium chloride, right? So we will not see this, we will go to magnesium chloride, okay. So now when we talk about the magnesium chloride, try to understand very carefully here what is happening here. Magnesium has an atomic number 12, okay. Magnesium has an atomic number 12, okay. So since it has atomic number 12, it means what will happen, its electronic configuration will be 2, 8 and 2, right? Means what? Maximum in this magnesium can donate 2 electrons, right? So what it will do, this magnesium, what it will do, it will donate 2 electron, right? And it will convert into magnesium 2 plus, Mg 2 plus. 2 plus is why? Because it is giving 2 electrons, right? So now it was, previously it was atom, now it has converted into what? Cation, right? Now next is when we talk about the chlorine. So chlorine has a tendency to accept electron. Now if we are using 2 chlorine here, so what will happen? 2 electron it will accept, right? One for each. So at that time it will form what? 2 Cl negative ion. I hope why 2 you are understanding, right? So here it is converted into 288, okay, since it is taking an electron. So how will the transfer will take place? So there is a, I hope up to this you have understood, right? So since it is giving 2 electron and these 2 chlorine are taking 1 electron each, right? So now you see how the arrangement is taken place. This is what? This is a magnesium here, okay, and this is what? This is one chlorine and this one is another chlorine. So since the magnesium has 2 electron in its outermost shell, so what it will do, magnesium 1 electron it will give to him and another electron it will give to him. So at that time they will form like this. They will, since as you can see it is giving 1 electron to him and 1 electron to him, so at that time what will happen, as you can see, magnesium atom was this, chlorine atom was this. Now he has given 1 electron to him, okay, and 1 electron to him, okay, 1 electron to this chlorine, right? One electron he has given to each. So at that time it will form what? It will form like this magnesium chloride. Let me write here, it is not given properly, okay. Suppose this is a magnesium here, right? I hope you can see, or else let me change the color. So this is magnesium, it is carrying 2 electron here, right? One here and one other one is here. This color will work. Suppose this is magnesium here, okay, and it is carrying two electron in its outermost shell, right? One is suppose this, and another one is suppose this, and one is this. Okay, now we have two chlorine here. Suppose one chlorine is here and another chlorine is here, right? So since we know that in chlorine there are 7 electrons in its outermost shell, so we will draw here 7 electron. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and one is 7 here, right? Again for this also, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and one is here. So now what will happen, this magnesium, what it will do, it will give one electron to him. Okay, and it will give one electron to him. Okay, so if previously, when previously he was having an electronic configuration of what, 2, sorry, previously he was having, it was having an electronic configuration what, 2 2, okay, 8 and 2, right? Now since he has given one electron to here and one electron here, at that time what it has converted into what, 2 8 and 2 8, right? I hope you are understanding this. It has converted into 2 and 8. So previously he was having 287, 287. Now it has converted into what, 288, and he has also converted into 288, right? Now what will be, what it will form, it will form a compound like this. Since magnesium is forming since this magnesium is giving an electron, so it has converted into what, Mg 2 plus, right? And since 2 chlorine has taken and one electron each, right? So Cl minus here, minus is here. So what will be the final product when when these two will combine? So after the combining, I'm erasing all everything, right? After the combining, they will form what, MgCl2, right? As you can see here, it is written MgCl2. So I hope you have understood this, right? How we have to do this, right? Now same thing is for calcium oxide also. The number of valence electron in calcium oxide is 2, since it has atomic number of calcium is 20. Now oxygen, when we talk about the oxygen, as you can see here, it is given calcium was what, as you can see, 2882, and oxygen is 26, so it need 2 electron, right? So it will give one electron, one like this, 2 electron it will give, and it will form what, calcium oxide. So I hope you have understood this, right? Now next is what, properties of ionic compound or electrovalent compound. So the first property is they are hard, brittle, crystalline, solid, consisting of ion. Why they are hard and brittle? Because they have a strong electrostatic force of attraction between them. Okay, between their ions they have a strong electrostatic force of attraction, which is, that is why they are very hard, brittle and crystalline solid. Okay, now next is they are not volatile. Okay, and with a high boiling and melting point, they are not volatile. Okay, they will not volatile easily. Why? There, because there is exists a strong force of attraction between the opposite charge ion, so the large amount of energy is required to break the strong bond formed between the ions, right? Since they are non-volatile, because the force of attraction which is binding this ionic compound is very strong, right? That is why its boiling point and melting point is high, right? Now next is they do not conduct electricity. Why? Because they do not have a free ions, right? So they do not conduct electricity in the solid, because but they are good conductor of electricity in its fused or aqueous state. Means what? When it was in a combine, when it will be in the solid form, at that time there will be not, and there will not be having any free ions, right? So that is why they will, at that time they will not conduct electricity. Now what if we are what we are doing, if we are just this ionic compound, if we are making that them into an aqua solution, either by dissolving in water and any other solvent, at that time what will happen, there will be a free ions, right? In the, if we are dissolving in water, at that time the sodium and ion will diffuse, right, and ions will break out from there, or they will dissolve in the water. So at that time there is a free ion, so at that time they will conduct electricity, right? As you can see, the electrostatic force of attraction between the ions in a solid state is very strong, okay, and in the fuse it is weakened. In the fused, the force weakens in the fused state or in the solution, and hence ion become mobilized, as I have already told you. Now last reason is they are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvent. Why they are soluble in water? Because water is what? Water is a polar compound, okay, and it decreases the electrostatic force of attraction, right, and resulting in the free ions in aqua solution. Hence the electrostatic compound dissolve in water. Means what will happen, the water, what will do, water will just break. Suppose this is sodium and this is chlorine, NaCl, right? So what the water will do, water will just break this bond between them, and it will convert this chlorine into Cl negative ion and this sodium into Na positive ion. Now what it will do, it will conduct, since it has converted into ions, right? So there will be a flow of electrons, and since there will be a flow of electrons, there will be a flow of electricity also, right? And since the bond is breaking between the sodium or this chlorine, so that is why this ions will, the form which is formed, the NaCl or Cl negative, it will easily dissolve in water. So I hope you have understood about electrovalent bond or ionic bond, right? So now in the next class we will start covalent bond. I hope today's class you have understood, right? So now next class we will see covalent bond, right? Since till that, thank you.